Hey, team. So, first and foremost, great work this week. Way to get through the teletracking upgrade. I know it was kind of intense, but I thought the downtime itself went very well. Great work by everybody. Good teamwork. It felt pretty smooth, so I thought that was great. The new system coming up was a little rocky, but you guys really hung in there. I can't express how impressed I am with all of you just jumping in, figuring it out, trying to just make the best of it. I know we still have some work to do. I'm very grateful that Amanda came in today and spent some time with you guys to talk through the system, to kind of understand some of the barriers. It'll help her, it'll help you. And that way we can work on getting that data back up and running and hopefully get the system to be a little bit more user-friendly and more like intuition-ish type thing. So great work. Lots and lots of exciting things there. We'll be able to do some really awesome data stuff coming up, which is pretty exciting with Synapse. So more to come on that. Yay. The other stuff that I have is really not that exciting. Just a couple of, it's not exciting, but they're very, very important. So I have two kind of really big reminders. Reminder one is that we really need to make sure we are validating what hospital the referring facility would like to transfer the patient to. We've had 2 patients now be transferred to Holy Spirit because that's where the referring thought they were going, but we connected them to Hershey physicians and accepted them to Hershey. We did not validate when we called back to release the information that we were coming to Hershey. So this is a big deal. And I know that, sorry, I'm gonna let my dog out. I know it's something we're getting used to, but I want you all to start the practice now, asking at the very beginning, and what facility would you like to transfer to, or restating, and you're looking to transfer the patient to Holy Spirit, and you're looking to transfer the patient to Hershey, you're looking to transfer the patient to St. Joe's or Hamden. I mean, we're going to have so many options. And then when we are getting the physicians on the line, okay, I'm going to get you physician X from the Hershey trauma team, or I'm going to get you physician Y from our internal medicine at Hamden. And then at the very end, we should be saying it again when we're releasing that bed or wrapping up the call, which we really do have to do, especially now. Thank you. So I understand that Dr. Stazik is going to accept this patient to our trauma service into our ICU at the Hershey Medical Center. And then we say it again when we release that bed. So we should be reiterating the location as frequently as possible. So really start to weave that in to your discussions. I'm going to add it to our audit because it's critical. We've got to get that commentary like ingrained into our brain. It's got to happen. We don't want to keep doing this. It's not a good, very good PR. It causes a lot of problems. So just really keep thinking about that. Sorry. Obviously things are going off on my computer as well. Let me turn that down. Okay. Anyway, here we go. So that was thing number 1. Thing number 2. So a couple nights ago, there were 2 nurses on. There were 2 BMAs on. One was home and one was in the hospital, and we had an orientee. Both nurses were on critical transfer calls. One was a pediatric neurosurgery trauma transfer, and the other was a stroke. A third transfer call came through during that time, and it bumped to the BMA. The BMA put it into the rollover line without validating a nurse was available. It bumped out, got put back into the rollover line, and we lost the call. So I was made aware the next day. People wanted to know why we didn't have it was from LGH, it was a pediatric trauma from LGH, why we weren't able to field the call for a pediatric trauma. They ended up transferring the patient to CHOP. We did, in fact, try to call them back and take that transfer, but it was 30 minutes after they originally called us. So I went through and validated everything, followed up with our BMA, the BMA staff to make sure that we are doing the right things when we're getting those calls. But then later that night, I got a message to call someone on the pediatric trauma team, and was made aware that that patient, even though it transferred to CHOP, did end up dying. So they're doing a formal investigation into this and trying to identify if the delay in transfer had anything to do with the patient's outcome. It's likely it didn't, so I don't want you to think that we're seriously at fault here, but I think it's really important that we always remember that our actions every single thing we do in our department immediately can impact a patient's life. So these are the things that I want to say to make sure that we are always doing. If you are getting a rollover transfer call, it is because the nursing staff are busy. So let me do a little bit of re-education on our phone system. They call into our 800 line, they hit option 1. When they call the 800 line, they hear you've reached Penn State Health, blah, 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 blah. That's a 25 or 30-second message. They hit option 1. Thank you, you've reached the blah, blah, blah. This will be recorded for blah, 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 blah. That's another 10 seconds. Then they get into the queue, and the queue looks for a nurse for 45 seconds. If a nurse is not available in that 45 seconds, it will bump and look for a bed management associate. If it can't find a bed management associate, it'll look for 45 seconds, and then it bumps back over to look for the nurse, and it bumps. So a person can be in that for a very long time. In fact, the longest wait time we've had this fiscal year was 13 minutes. Somebody waited 13 minutes in our queue to try to get through our transfer line. Whoa. Anyway, so assume that those nurses are busy. That person's already waited a minute and some change, minute and a half with the stuff on the front end. By the time they bump into the BMA line, that BMA is then going to put them into another line, potentially, to transfer them back to a nurse. So we really need to consider a couple of things. One, you need to validate verbally, get the attention of a nurse to make sure there is a nurse that can manage that call immediately. We do not want to put people back into a line again to sit and wait again to get their patient transferred. That is horrible. Horrible customer service, really not good for our patients. So if there is no nurse that's able to take that call right away and allow you to just pop it back into them, whoever the BMA is, BMA 1, BMA 2, I don't know, Christy, whoever gets that phone call should start working on a document. Open that transfer center document, take down the demographic information. When you've gotten through the demographic information, check again to see if that nurse is available. If you do not have a nurse available again, we need to validate what type of patient it is. You ask, is this a critical transfer? Is this patient a trauma? If they say the patient's a trauma, the patient's having a stroke, the patient's having a heart attack, anything that is considered a critical transfer, you need to start that. You're going to have to start that call. And if it's a BMA 1 that gets that phone call and you can't start that transfer case, you need to hand it to the BMA 2 who is there. If you are in a major placement debacle, unfortunately, those critical transfers will trump what's going on with the placement. To be fair and clear, we understand that you have to make a triaging choice in this situation, and that is fine. I will be able to stand up and say, we still do not have staff to manage that volume because we staff to averages and we have a constant turnover rate. So this is what happened, and this is appropriate, understanding that something else will have to wait. So that's really what I want to make sure we're all doing, is that if you get bumped a transfer call, don't just drop it into that rollover line. That's not okay. We have to validate that the nurses are available. They need to be able to get on that phone immediately. If they are not available, we've got to start those transfer calls. The unfortunate thing about this scenario is that child did pass away. The other side of that coin, there's a lot of attention on our department right now, and good attention, people who really have the best intentions to make sure they can help us get the support we need to do what we need to do. So I do anticipate being able, getting some more support sooner than we thought maybe, but I don't have the answers to that right now. So I just want to make sure we are always considering how impactful what we do is. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are in this department. It doesn't matter what schooling you've had or what licenses you have. You are important. You are part of the patient safety team, and we all play a part in that. So, make sure we're doing the right things. Got to always ask ourselves, are we doing the right thing? We also have to remember that we are the referral site for our entire health system, and we have to make sure we can triage those calls well. To that end, I will also let you know I have had conversations with very high-level people at Holy Spirit and at St. Joe's about the absolute clunky mess that our transfer processes are. So I have attention on that, and I am going to continue to work with them to make this a much more efficient and quick process, understanding that we still have some technology barriers to work through. but I heard you and I appreciate your input and feedback. And I really, really, really would love for you to start sending me cases where you have delays in being able to access physicians at any of those sites. I need them to be escalated. I'm not hearing about them. I'm not seeing them. If you don't issue them, we really don't catch those, especially now with the way that the system is. It's going to be really hard for Amanda and I to kind of weed through that for a while. So if you're really struggling to get people on the call, I need to know about it so I can escalate it and share specific examples. So all that to say, I think we have a lot of really exciting things coming our way. I think I'll have some more news for you coming up here in the next few weeks that I think is pretty exciting. And that's all I'm going to tell you, a little teaser. But I'm pretty excited about that. And I think there are really, really awesome things coming to us. So stick together, hang in there. We're on the right path. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. Last thing that I want to share with you that is less fun. Today, my children's, I have two of them, two childs, and myself have been tested for COVID because my mother-in-law did turn up positive. So I will get my result tonight and I will let you all know how that turns out. Lucky for all of you, I've been locked in my office most of the time. You don't see me hardly at all. I'm really sorry for that. But I have been in the hub. Obviously not unmasked really, but I certainly have been in there. So I just want to make sure you're all aware. And I will follow up with you all accordingly, okay? Have a great weekend. Yay! Have fun with Town Transfer Center. Okay, talk to you later. Bye!